Hey guys, welcome back, and now let's look at three different positions that have the same engine evaluation, but for a human they are so different. Now let's start with the first one, which comes from a French winnover, and this is just absolute mess. I remember when I still had this in my repertoire as a professional grandmaster, I always had a headache every time I was about to play this for black. I was afraid because it looks crazy, but I knew that also my opponent will be afraid. So it's a little bit a double-edged sword, but I think as white it just doesn't make sense to take as much risk as here. You really see that there is no strategic idea here. There is no, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Look at this pawn that is already on h7, but look at these black pawns here. Like, this is just absolute craziness. And if you don't have an engine next to you, you have no idea how you would evaluate this position, and most likely the next move and the one after that will be both mistakes from both sides. So stay away from such a position. And now we look at another position that has again the same evaluation, but again with white it's not what we want. This here comes from actually a Catalan opening. You might be very surprised to hear that, because usually Catalans are, safe, calm, but there is a concrete line where white wants to gain this pawn on e5 and gives up his bishop, and everything looks very crazy. And in this exact position, you actually only have one move that doesn't lose for white. So let's talk about risk. That's way too much risk, right? Again, you need to absolutely know the theory here, and then still it is dangerous, and black has several interesting ideas. So here the only move to not lose is knight to f3. For example, just as one idea, f3 immediately loses to a beautiful knight h2, king h2, hg3, and the queen is coming in with a checkmate. I can show you until the end, and we're already mated. So that is crazily stupid from a practical point of view to play this if you're not at the top level. And here I'm really talking about International Master Plus level. So it's amazing if you once get there, but until you get there, play normal looking openings that make sense and where you can just have a little bit a bigger margin of error, where not every move decides over losing or winning, but you really know, okay, I have several nice moves. And this is the last position. Again, sorry for my beautiful coloring skills, but I was just too excited when I saw such a beautiful position. So here, believe it or not, the engine evaluation is exactly the same as before, around plus 0.3 for white with the best move. But here you see that we control the center by these beautiful 3 pawns on the fourth line. We have strong bishops that are looking towards the center. We have always the option of pushing one or another central pawn. We can put the rooks in the middle, and it doesn't make such a huge difference if we once put the rook on c1 or maybe d1 or this rook on e1, right? There is not one move that we absolutely have to find. So here there's more about ideas, but there are several ideas that are decent, and most likely we won't blunder as quickly as in the other positions. So really put that into your brain, that it doesn't matter as much how the engine evaluates a position, but it's more important, does it look logical to you, right? Which side would you rather prefer to play? Who is more likely to make a mistake in such a position? And then depending on that, you want to take a choice in an opening and play an opening or not play an opening. So that's why the first two positions I would recommend stay far away from such positions, especially if you are white. There's no reason to risk as much and to be so focused on the engine, and especially, we don't want to spend so much time on the opening. we still want to improve our chess, right? At your level, you don't have the time of a professional chess grandmaster who is studying 6-7 hours per day, openings, nearly only openings. We don't have that time. So we want to stay far away from such positions, and we want to focus on positions that are easy to play, that are logical, and that have a bigger margin of error.